And what I want to do today in the time I have is draw some parallels to our category, interviewing technology, to a central topic of this conference, RPO. And I'm going to cover the unforeseen or unknown benefits beyond the intuitive. In many ways, our category parallels what's happening and has happened in RPO, where perhaps buyers have viewed the RPO service industry more narrowly than the reality of the full breadth of offerings that many of you provide. That too is true of our technology and the value that we have to offer. And so that's the premise for our discussion. Am I controlling up here? Here we go. As a means of background, I'm the president and CEO of Montage. We're a purpose-built interviewing technology platform. Some of the world's leading brands trust their candidate experience and employer brand with us. Disney, Verizon, MetLife, Sony, Samsung, Anheuser-Busch, and many more. This year, we'll help those companies hire over 50,000 employees using a combination of live interviewing technology and asynchronous or on-demand video or voice solutions. And as part of this topic, what I'll do is I'll share a few of their case studies or stories to help you appreciate the value proposition that we offer. So oftentimes when we engage with a new client, they come to us with an understanding of perhaps the intuitive beliefs around what the technology might do. Save on travel, reduce recruiter time. Those are the intuitive things, the operational benefits that are easy to understand. Maybe they've dabbled with Skype or some non-purpose-built solution. Where I'm going to spend our time that we have is on the more strategic. Those areas that are really transformational. Yes, we deliver significant travel savings and time savings, oftentimes an 8 to 10 times return. But let's talk about the cake. Let's talk about 4 key areas where we really deliver transformational value through purpose-built interviewing technology. I'm going to start in the area of reach, and I'm going to tell a story about ESPN. Now, Disney has been a client of ours for over 2 years. They've recently launched a program for their fellowship program. They are trying to increase their diversity talent, their on-air diversity talent. And 4 weeks ago, they started a program using our solution to reach across the globe to find a few individuals to become interns in their on-air program. They want to increase their diversity. And over the last 3 weeks since launching that, they have attracted 2,000 candidates in 53 different countries, primarily through technology. It's a solution. There's no way you can service that in a cost-effective way from a human capital standpoint. And so those candidates are receiving, through their tracking of ESPN on Twitter, social media, visibility into this opportunity. They appear to a landing page, they learn about the position, and they begin the application process. And they're able to upload a highlight reel that they've called previously, share more about themselves, and then they're able to actually see a video of a sporting event and call it in real time in multi-language capabilities. And so that's just one simple example of how reach can be achieved. And so many of you and so many of our clients are needing to recruit from outside their local markets today in creative ways that aren't scalable simply through a human capital or recruiting resource standpoint. I want to talk about brand. And Elaine had talked about that element of investment neutrality, that if it's a one-sided process, candidates will opt out of that process or become disenfranchised from your brand. This is why the Disneys of the world, who have a phenomenal consumer brand, have trusted their candidate experience through us, because we help them bring their brand to life. Disney came to us 2 years ago competing for IT workers. They were competing with Google and Dell and Microsoft. They couldn't attract those software engineers, and they wanted to do it in a high-tech, high-touch way. And they turned to our solution offering as a means to bring that employer value proposition to life at the job level. I also think of one of our most recent clients, the University of Texas Medical Branch in Galveston, Texas. Some of you here are from Houston. You know, recruiting in the healthcare industry out of Galveston Island, when you're an hour south of Houston in an industry that's largely dominated by oil and gas, is extremely difficult. And so when they're recruiting, they're not only recruiting to promote the job, they're recruiting to promote the destination and bring that family into that decision process, because oftentimes it's a relocation. And I think of Penn Med locally in Philadelphia. That's an area that has many choices in terms of healthcare institutions. Oftentimes people think of video interviewing as being reaching external candidates. Penn Med is using our solution to differentiate their brand locally, to attract the local candidates and present a meaningful candidate experience in a high-tech, high-touch way beyond what their competitors are doing, which is the traditional complicated job application and phone screen process. So just 3 examples. Elaine had talked about the candidate experience. We track our own candidate survey results, and there's a strong correlation between the ease of the use, the ease of the process, and the candidate's interest in that position. And so we tie a correlation between those metrics, and what we find is if the process is more complicated, if there's not that investment neutrality, candidates not only will opt out of the process, they'll leave not interested in the position, but again, they'll share that with their social group, and that hurts your ability to attract that additional talent. I want to talk about the collaborative capabilities that exist. Recruiting is 24/7. And hiring managers and recruiters are distributed virtually. Many of you are in RPO organizations. You're trying to gain the trust and confidence of a hiring manager that you've never met. So through the technology, there's the ability to build that relationship, perhaps scope the position via video, present a slate of candidates on the hiring manager's mobile device, get real-time feedback to keep the process going. Sometimes the front-end process for the candidate is great. But where the process bogs down is in that collaborative piece where a candidate waits days or weeks while an organization tries to figure out if they're interested in that candidate because there's breakdowns in communication. Cincinnati Children's Medical Center, it's very expensive to fly in and out of Cincinnati, but the biggest benefit we provide to them is not travel cost savings. It is the quality use of the time of their recruiting team. When you take a physician or a nurse or an administrator in their hospital system out of serving patients and ask them to interview candidates, that's hundreds or thousands of dollars per hour in direct cost or opportunity cost. And the ability to streamline that process has been central to their ability to increase patient care. And then the final area I'm going to cover is really some of the other fun and exciting transformational elements. And I'll just touch on a few, not all of them. Many of our clients have a process that's geared towards cultural fit, and that translates to 6, 7, 8 individuals meeting the candidate. That's overburdensome for the candidate, and it slows down the process. Through the ability to have an asynchronous recorded interview and socialize that, you get real-time feedback. Oftentimes what we've seen is that process shrinks 2 to 3 weeks because there's really only 2 or 3 key stakeholders that need to make that decision. If you can gain that cultural buy-in from the 2 or 3, 4 others that can review an interview that's recorded instead of meeting that candidate face-to-face. And one of the fun ways that we're seeing the product and application extended is in the area of onboarding. Sony is a good example of this. When they hire someone into their organization, they'll have them complete a video profile using the same platform that they use for interviewing, but now it's a different reflection of the individual. The ability for that individual to introduce themselves into their new team, fun and creative, interesting facts about their background and their history, and that new hire also has the ability to see video on the new team that they're joining. So you maintain that engagement process from the point of application to the point of offer through the point of onboarding and then beyond. And so in this category, there are parallels to the RPO industry. In many ways, it's misunderstood. I'm sure many of you in the room have thought about video interviewing as being a Skype-like experience or something that's solely focused on a narrow set of use cases. The reality is this industry is moving extremely fast, Because of mobile advancement, video advancement, SaaS, and the requirements of the Gen Y and soon to be Gen Z workforce, this is the wave of the future, and candidates will no longer accept the traditional process of phone screens, of waiting for interviews to be scheduled and waiting weeks to understand where they fit within the process. Thanks so much for your time.